share with you today, especially with the current events that have been happening. And of course, as always, when I start trying to record one of these, somebody is trying to hit me up on the phone. Of course. It's Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to all fellow dads out there. Happy Father's Day to my dad. Last night, Trump had a rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and in there, he talked about wanting to enact a certain type of punishment for flag burning. Not only does this go against the very precepts of our Constitution, it goes against the very fundamental heart of the First Amendment, in which the government cannot infringe on our rights of free expression. But it also doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense at all. The spirit of America is rebellion. That flag stands for our ability to do exactly that thing, to burn it if we wish, to criticize the president. That's the whole point. That's the whole point behind it. So that in and of itself is horrifying. But that's not really what I wanted to talk about. The police in Tulsa have started referring to certain armed citizens as armed friendlies. And there's footage of them at the rally, and they are standing there with assault rifles, all wearing red t-shirts and looking old and a little bit jumpy. And for that purpose, I wanted to talk a little bit about slings. So this is an AR-15 pistol. It is unloaded. There's no magazine in it. For the purposes of our demonstration, this will work fine. Don't make fun of my incredibly cheap optic that's on that. Like, that's no bully. Anyway, this is currently in a 2-point sling. It's attached here. It's attached here. When it rests, it's not the most comfortable thing in the world, but you can put it to your side. You can put it on your back. For the most part, it stays out of your way. It's really good if you need to be moving and traveling for a while, but you do have to take the time to pull it forward and then bring it up at the ready when you want to shoot. Now, very commonly, you will have military using 1-point slings. And that's where your sling attaches to itself, and then it has one attachment to the weapon right here on its butt plate, so that you can let the weapon hang like this. And from here, it's very easy to bring it up. Very, very easy. It's more of like, if you're in an immediate dangerous situation, you're ready to shoot. All these guys that are armed friendlies are standing there not only with 1-point slings, sometimes dead center on the chest, sometimes partially to the side, but they all have these, and they're not just at battle-ready configuration, ready at any point in time to, but they are constantly holding, cradling, have their weapons right here. Granted, they do have good trigger discipline, which is to keep your finger away from the trigger at all times until you're ready to shoot. Sure, that's fine. But these are like, a couple of them were little old men. And they're just ready. They are ready to go. Ready to go. You don't have to hold your weapon. You don't. You have it. It's right here. Hey, look. It's right here. You don't have to hold it. You don't have to cradle it like it's your fucking dick. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but like, what purpose does it serve to have your hand on the weapon? What purpose is it to have that so ready that in a second's notice, you can flip that switch and start taking lives? Why? You're not in Baghdad. You're in Tulsa, Oklahoma. What exactly do you think is going to happen? Now, sure, it's important to have police and security, to have those types of things to make sure that you are protected. If for some reason some lunatic does try and do something awful and hurt people, it's good that people are prepared to respond. But these are not police officers. These aren't Secret Service. These aren't anybody but just Joe Blow, random-ass rednecks standing around, and they're exercising their rights, and, that's absolutely fine. But there's this posture. There's this place that they're operating from, psychologically, that I don't think is very healthy. And I think a lot of people really need to scale themselves back from that. Especially if you're an avid gun owner like myself. Especially if you're somebody who very, very much cares about your rights and your freedoms and that sort of thing. It is really important to stay as level-headed as possible. I honestly don't think anybody, if they are just standing around as an armed militia, need to be like at the ready, like shit's about to go down. The difference between this and this is barely anything. But it's that posture, it's that vibe that they're putting off. That's what's getting kind of dangerous, and that's what I think people need to scale back from. People are so mindlessly attached to their ideologies at this point that they'll defend anything. That you will perceive Tulsa, Oklahoma to be a hotbed of enemy activity and act as such as if you were in Baghdad. That you will mindlessly make excuses for Trump saying things like maybe we should send people to prison for a year for burning a flag. Just blindly defend it. Blindly defend him saying that he's slowed down testing for COVID-19. Blindly defend. There's a lot of room for nuance. There's a lot of room between the most aggressive stance and one that's just simply ready and stable and firm. We are on unshaky ground. Unshaky? Unstable. Wow. It started to sound very poignant and awesome. We are on unstable ground. We're on shaky ground. And things are wobbling a lot. And it's up to all of us to stay cool and collected, for us to talk to each other and chill out about these kinds of things. But we have to be willing to listen. We have to be willing to consider. I am not going to go in any conversation with someone who is a hardcore Trump supporter and immediately demonize them for their choice. I will first go into it basically kind of pleading with them, just hear me out on this, okay? Just hear me out. Maybe, just maybe, he can make a mistake. If we can start from that, like he can make a mistake, then we can have a conversation as to how much of a mistake it might be, or if they think it's a mistake, and why they would defend against that. Because to be honest with you, I cannot in a million years understand why anybody would defend him saying that you should get a year in jail for burning the flag. It just doesn't even make any functional sense to me. But yeah, that's a little bit about Slings. It's a little bit about where we're standing, what our perspective is, and where we're operating from. And it's just a little bit of a thought. And yet again, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Yeah, hug your fathers while you can, because someday they're gone. All right, take care, everybody.